Fan theory time. Shmi is an agent of Palpatine. I know, she's probably like the last person you would ever suspect to be an agent of Palpatine. But if you're wondering how, you're going to want to watch through this entire video. Also, before we get started, I am pretty much aware that I'm going to have a lot of haters for this video, okay? And I am prepared to take the heat, okay? Whether or not I choose to take this video off is totally up to me. So, time for me to put on my hater protection. So, how is Shmi an agent of Palpatine? So in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, when Shmi is having a conversation with Qui-Gon, he asks who Anakin's father is, and she explains that there was no father, and she's unable to explain how she conceived Anakin in the first place. Now, if we jump forward to Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine and Anakin are conversing at the performance, Palpatine informs Anakin that Darth Plagueis, his master, was able to use the Force to influence the midichlorians to create life. So if you think about that, it may very well be possible that Palpatine used the Force to influence the midichlorians to conceive Anakin into Shmi's womb. But how could Shmi possibly be an agent of Palpatine if she has a Sith Lord conceived in her womb? Well, let's jump right back to Phantom Menace. During the dinner conversation, Anakin volunteers to help Qui-Gon and his party to acquire the parts they need to repair their ship and get off of Tatooine. Shmi at first protests, but then she has a change of heart, saying, "He can help you. He was meant to help you." Now, after the race, Shmi asks Qui-Gon, "Will you take him with you?" Anakin is also hesitant to let his mother go and leave home, but Shmi keeps on urging him to go for it. So if you think about that, it's very well possible that Palpatine's plan was for Shmi to conceive Anakin, give birth to him, raise him until it was time for him to start his training to become a Jedi, which then he would eventually turn to the dark side. So as Anakin was growing up, Shmi was going along with Palpatine's plan all along. But wait, there's still more. In episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Anakin tells Obi-Wan that he doesn't understand why he keeps on dreaming about his mother. And it's also revealed that Anakin is having nightmares of his mother's suffering. Anakin stated that Jedi do not have nightmares. So, is it possible that Palpatine was filling Anakin's mind with visions of Shmi's suffering in order to tempt him? Well, when Anakin decides to return to Tatooine and he finds out that his mother was kidnapped by the Tusken Raiders, you kind of have to ask yourself, did the Tuskens really kidnap Shmi? Because after watching The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, we learned that the Tuskens just don't like anyone crossing into their territory. So, is it possible that Shmi walked out on her own one night and gave herself up to the Tuskens, hoping that they would capture her and torture her? I mean, if Shmi is a faithful and loyal agent to Palpatine, then she will go to any lengths to serve her master, even if that includes sacrificing herself. So Shmi deliberately has herself captured by the Tuskens, and she lures Anakin in. As she's dying, she also tells Anakin, "Now I am complete." So, she did her part, she did her duty in raising Anakin to be a Sith Lord. Now, the rest is up to Palpatine. And when Shmi dies, Anakin goes on a rage and slaughters all the Sand People, including the women and the children. And ever since then, he has had fears and anxieties of the same fate happening to Padme when he starts having visions of her dying in childbirth. So, it's possible that Palpatine's plan was for Shmi to conceive Anakin, raise him, then lure him into a trap that would tempt him to the dark side and trigger his feelings. And obviously it worked, because Anakin was willing to do anything to save his wife and prevent her from suffering the same fate that his mother did, which ultimately led him to the dark side. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, just to kind of sum this all up. Palpatine used the Force to influence the midichlorian to conceive Anakin in Shmi's womb. Shmi gave birth to Anakin, she raised him until he was ready to venture off on his own. he urged Qui-Gon to take him to train him as a Jedi. And then in Attack of the Clones, she got herself captured by the Tuskens to lure Anakin into a trap. After that, Anakin had triggering anxiety of the same thing happening to Padme, and he was willing to do anything to prevent that from happening, thus turning to the dark side. So, well done, Shmi. You served yourself well as an Agent of Palpatine.